I would like to thank you for inviting me to share with you God's way of calling me to the fullness of life. I would like to use 3 meditations and reflections of Chiara to share my journey, my life's journey in the horizon of God's plan. First of all, I like what Chiara wrote about the call to love. She said that our life is like a wonderful and beautiful tapestry. We see a wonderful design before us, but at the back of this tapestry are knots that put all the thread together. But in this wonderful design of the tapestry, Chiara uses a very important image, the golden thread of God's love. So whatever happens to us in the wonderful design of our life, what constantly runs through this design of God's love is that golden thread of the love of God. So let me start with that. That life's journey is a journey of love. I always go back to some of my childhood experiences. I grew up in a very Catholic and simple family. We always prayed every day. We went to church. And I was surrounded by much love by my parents, but also by the bigger family of my father and my mother. But later on in life, I saw that I was drifting away from this plan of God's love for me. I was doing many things that probably I did not fully understand. And it was only much later that I understood, before Jesus, that everything that happened to me in life was part of His wonderful design of love for me in my life. So that's the first one, that my life is a wonderful design of God's love. It is a masterpiece of His love. And as Chiara would highlight, that in my life, in the ups and downs in my life, in my experiences that brought me closer to God, in all my weaknesses, I could see the hand of God, His golden thread of love. The second image that I would like to use, also from the reflection of Chiara, is this image of life as a pilgrimage. It is a very short life. And there was this poem that Chiara wrote about the cemetery of Verano. What struck me in that meditation was that if you go to the cemetery, you see the tombs, you see flowers, and probably when somebody dies, a few tears are shed, but after a few years, that person might be forgotten. For me, that's very striking because it reminds me that my second call is to follow God moment by moment, especially in the present moment of life. My life is short, but it is a pilgrimage with God. It is a pilgrimage with Jesus in all that I go through in life. And I remember this very well because when I was young, I wanted to be a lawyer because I wanted to fight for the rights of the poor, for those who were oppressed. But then, my parents wanted me to become a U.S. serviceman because in our town, it's called U.S. Dollar Town because many men were drafted into the U.S. service. And my parents had an American dream. They wanted me to become a U.S. Navy or a U.S. Army. But then I realized later on, when I found myself in the seminary, that God had another plan. I never thought I would become a priest. But then God showed me that in my life's journey, in my life's pilgrimage, there is always God reminding me that I have to live my life moment by moment, because in that very moment, He opens to me the horizon of my life, His wonderful plan. And the last image that I would like to use to share a bit more about that journey towards God, the journey to become fully human but also fully divine, was that when Kiara, and I will basically read the text, the title of her reflection is, "If a Soul Gives Itself to God Sincerely." So this is an image of somebody who wants to give his or her life to God. What happens? Our life becomes God's masterpiece. And she says, and I quote, "If a soul gives itself to God sincerely, He works on it. And love and suffering are the raw materials of His divine game. Suffering to dig abysses in the soul, love to soothe the suffering, and still more love that fills the soul, giving it the equilibrium of peace." So the soul realizes that it is under the powerful hand of God and waits in silent suspense as it watches, despite its tears, the work of the beloved. But at times, God works the soul to such a point that it is ground down in agony sharper than death. It no longer feels the help or spiritual support of anyone. For it, the whole earth has become an endless desert. Then the new miracle is born. A boundless trust, a desperate confidence in God, who is to prepare it for heaven, permits its sufferings and its nights. And between God and the soul begins a new dialogue, one known only to them. Unquote. This is a beautiful reflection of Kiara. And I like this very much because I have understood that my first vocation is not to be a priest. My first vocation is to love God, to give my life totally to God. Only then, when I gave my soul completely to Jesus, that I understood more profoundly why He wants to call me, why He calls me to be a priest. And for me, this meditation of Kiara made me understand that the one who has accompanied me since birth until now, it is Jesus. And through persons He gave me in my life's journey, I have understood His plan for me. So I thank my parents, my friends, the spiritual fathers in the seminary. But I also thank God for people who have given me difficulties, who made my life tough, who gave me trials in my life. I thank them because through them, God has shown me His wonderful plan of love, His wonderful design of love for my life. And you know, today, I am a priest, and I thank God because in my life's journey, He has shown me that this is the life He intends me to be and to continue to become. So let me conclude by another reflection of Kiara. And I like this very much. On many occasions, I have always repeatedly meditated on this because Kiara would often say, at the end of our life, when we face God, when He asks for our name, "What is your name?" I should be able to say, "My name is gratitude," because everything comes from God. And all that I have and all that I am is a gift from God. So with this thought, I conclude and I quote Chiara. I love you not because I learned to tell you so, not because my heart suggests these words to me, not so much because faith makes me believe that you are love, not even for the sole reason that you died for me. I love you because you entered into my life, more than the air in my lungs, more than the blood in my veins. You entered where no one could enter, when no one could help me every single time. No one could console me. Each day, I have spoken to you. Each hour, I have looked to you. And in your face, I read the answer. In your words, the explanation. In your love, the solution. I love you because for so many years, you have lived with me and I have lived of you. I drank from your law and I did not realize it. I nourished myself on it, gathered strength. I was restored, but I was unaware, like a child suckling at its mother's breast, but not yet knowing how to call her with that sweet name. Let me be grateful at least a little in the time that is left to me for the love you have poured upon me and that has compelled me to tell you, I love you. So at the end of our life, we can only tell the Lord, thank you, Lord. I love you. I am a masterpiece of your love. I am who I am, and I have become who you want me to be because of your love. And I think this is the journey that we have to make in our life. We come from God, we go back to God. He accompanies us to all the circumstances of our life. He helps us discern our way to the help of people He has sent to us to be part of our life story. Thank you, and God bless you all.